Welcome to the fifth down. Over the past few seasons, the North Star League has belonged to the boys from Mayo and Hillman, but this year there could be a changing of the guard.
That's right. The boys from Atlanta seem primed for a run at the title this year, and tonight they got their shot at the defending champs. Atlanta hoping to make some noise in the North Star League, but it was Mayo striking first in the first. QB Bryson Devers keeps it, and he's off. He goes 15 yards for the TD run. That puts Mayo up 8-0. Now just over 2 minutes later, Atlanta's signal caller Gabriel showing he can hold his own on the ground. He takes off and he scores from 33 yards out. And now we're all tied up at 8. But Mayo wasting no time answering back. Sean Obermiller takes the handoff from Devers, and he shows up Badgerill. A lot of one-upping going on in this one. Obermiller goes for 45 yards, and the TD puts Mayo back up 16-8. But there was a break in scoring, but the Huskies going after it again. This time Badgerill using his arm to connect with Jake Chambers, who makes the grab and does the rest with his feet. He makes the grab and does the rest with his feet, so we're tied at 16. Mayo hoping to strike quickly before hitting the locker room, but Chambers already showed he's good with his hands, and that carries over onto the defensive side of the ball. He picks off Devers just before halftime. So we were tied at 16 at the half, but in the second half, the Huskies pitch the shutout and ramp up the offense to roll past the Bolts 46-16.
What a huge win for Atlanta out there tonight. Now let's head down south to Tawas. The Braves in search of their first win this season, hosting Ann Arbor, Gabriel Richard, and the Irish strike early as Ashton Hunley takes off around the edge for 6. Actually made it 7-0. Gabriel Richard on top. A little bit later, Justin Karinovich in his own end zone and hit in the end zone for a safety. That makes it 9-0. Rare that you see one of those in a high school game. A little bit later, Mason Sarosi trying to go to the air for the Irish, but Daniel Howell, a great diving play to make the interception. The Braves couldn't cash in, though. This time Sarosi makes no mistake about it, gets a little bit of help from his receiver, Blaze Stearns. Some great concentration on that one. That made it 16-0. Get a little ahead of ourselves with that one. Tawas, though, put a drive together after that score. It started with a nice kick return by Jacob Morgan. Then there, Karinovich hooks up with Howell on 4th down to keep the drive alive, but the drive would stall. The Braves can't cash in. That was the same story all night long. The Irish, as you saw, win big in this one, dropping Tawas to 0-3. Now, another pair of Huron Shores teams fared much better this evening. Oscoda picking up its first win of the Dave Lavasser area against Saginaw Buena Vista, and Whittemore Prescott got back on track with a big win over Pinconning. Travis McDonald led the way for the Cards, racking up 207 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
Johannesburg Lewiston dropped its second game in a row in a 22-0 shutout in Mansalona, and Rogers City came just short of its first win of the season. The Pelston Hornets hung on for a 7-6 win over the Hurons. Hillman was set to host Augrey Sims this evening, but the Wolverines were too banged up to field a full squad and had to forfeit. Last night, Posen and Superior Central combined to pass the century mark, but the Vikes were on the wrong end of a 61-40 game.
It goes without saying that every team's goal is to make it through the season without suffering defeat.
That's right, Jeff. And while that's a great mindset to have, heading into week 3, only 2 of our local squads remained unbeaten. One of those teams, Onaway, looking to remain undefeated against Forest Area tonight. And in the first, well on their way, who else but Jason Sigsby. He picks up the 3rd down and more, scampering in for the touchdown. That makes it 7-0 Onaway. But early on, Forest Area not going away. Jordan Cecil punches it in from 3 yards out. The Warriors add the 2-point conversion and take the 8-7 lead. Now the second quarter, that belonged to the Cardinals. Onaway facing a 4th and 5 in Warriors territory. Matt Tolini rolls out and finds Tommy Auger, who then finds the end zone, but the TD would not count due to a penalty. The Cards did get the first down on the play, and they didn't have to wait long for the score. Very next play, a little trickery. Shea Whitsitt finds Pater. No flags this time, and the Cards go back on top 13-8. Now under a minute to go in the half. Cards at it again. This time Tolini keeps it himself and beats all the Warriors to the end zone. That caps off a 90-yard drive.
Wow.
That extends the lead to 19-8. And Onaway kept coming in the second half, cruising to the win, 41-8.
Looks like the Cards are definitely for real this year. Now the Alpena Wildcats had an early start today. They kicked off at 4 on the road against Traverse City Central. And the Cats, with a 1st and 10, Brady Marwood's pass, though, goes off the hands of Caleb Smith. Zach Egbert picks it off, returns it to the 27 of Alpena. Second quarter now, Alpena's defense steps up. TJ Shepperly fumbles the handoff. Chandler Bloom recovers for the Cats. Alpena, though, struggled. They would go 3 and out on the ensuing drive. They can't hold down the Trojan offense for the entire game, as later in the second quarter, Nate Pupel gets the handoff up the middle and barrels over an Alpena defender and into the end zone. That makes it 21-zip Trojans. Cats put a little drive together later, though, as Dakota Patterson takes the handoff, rips off a 19-yard run for the first down for Alpena. And then later, Marweed hits Tyler DeCare for a nice 14-yard gain up to the Alpena 49-yard line. The drive, though, would stall. Alpena had to punt, and the Cats couldn't keep the Trojans in check. Wildcats fall to 0-3 after a 47-6 loss to TC Central.